I'm hitting start streaming now, so I'm just going to assume it is working this morning, and I should have paused at the moment. Something's really tickled me this morning. Anyway, good morning. I thought to mention that one. Good morning, Matt. Compose yourself. Good morning. I'm Matt, and welcome to today's RC Coffee Chat. Let's just compose ourselves first. Right, let's get ourselves on something. Sound is good, fantastic. I really appreciate that. So, if this is your first time around for an RC Coffee Chat, we are going to be discussing a whole range of different topics here this morning, as we do every single Wednesday-ish, in inverted commas, over a cuppa. And I hope that you really enjoy this very relaxed format. You will notice down the right-hand side of the screen there is a live chat going along. Of course, if you're in the live version, you can get involved with all the topics today. And if you're watching the recorded version, you can either leave a comment underneath this video or pop across to the Faceballs group. There's a link key to that in the video description. Right, let me go and check my show notes. Right, we have number one. Oh, we'll get to, there's a new number one. We can find out in a moment. That we will be looking at a new moisture content inspection device. Really looking forward to this one. What else have we got? All the Lidl gliders are back. You know, the little chuck gliders which are in Lidl, which just completely sold out. We'll have a special note on those in a moment. And then we've got today's main event, which is it clickbait, or is my account really disabled, and did Matt really annoy HobbyKing? And notice how I'm being very polite there. In that we will have a quick update on the WRA spec wing as well. Oh, and we need to look at the bird or turd to see what your votes were on whether it was a bird or a turd. And there is an amazing result. I was shocked by this one. You wait till you see that vote later on in today's episode. And we have two new pieces-ish of foam. Which is going to be put to the slaughter, assuming that they get landed okay. And there's so many chat going on there. Good morning, everybody's on here live. We will do shout out corner shortly. We do have quite a lot to cover here this morning, and I need to try and be as objective and speedy, but also get into the detail to help you. So, tell you what, let's get straight across to the desktop actually, which is, well, actually, let's get into the main event. Okay, so there was rumour on YouTube, which, as some might say, Rob, is that you shouldn't believe everything you read on YouTube. And there was a hint that I may or may not get a refund from HobbyKing or Headstronic Limited or Lucky Stuff Limited, as the case may be. There's the key point there. Anyway, when I get a refund for the Sidewinder, good news all round. Okay, in fact, it's a double good news, and I feel a little bit guilty about this title, this RC Coffee Chat, being the way it is. Because technically the time of going live this morning, my account is no longer banned. I literally just tried logging in a few moments ago and I can get back in again. However, at 5:20 this morning, my account still said the requested customer is disabled next to it. So my account was disabled for one or other reasons this morning, and that has now changed. The reason, I'm guessing the reason why it's been changed is because the dispute which I created with Headstronic Limited or via PayPal has now been resolved, and you'll see in the comments here. In fact, let me go and turn my head off on wrong one. There we go, so you can see what's going on. We're offering an amount of $133.73 for the returned item, and return shipping costs is store credits. So that implies that, anyway, please don't accept, again, accepted. Okay, so that is the end of a chapter to do with the Sidewinder wing. We will be touching back on the Sidewinder wing later in this RC Coffee Chat as well, because it is a point of reference for a later part, which we'll be chatting about. So yeah, that's one which has just been stuffed in there right now. Now, number two is the Lidl gliders are back now. Oh, I've got it wrong. My bad. Moisture content inspection. Now, this is going to affect a few of you. I'm sure some of you have had this issue before, is that if you were to go into one of those little white fluffy clouds, obviously, within legal limits. And you go into the cloud and pop in, and your HD camera gets misted up. Your FPV camera gets fogged up as well, and then you have issues seeing afterwards. And we've been chatting about this for a short while now, well, quite a while, about maybe putting like an F1 camera lens over the top. You've seen when they got when the F1 cars are racing and they pull the little strips along to the side. Is what we were thinking was that maybe we had a little cover which comes up and down. And Andy has been and hacked together a prototype. So this is a continuation, maybe a V2 continuation on from the pan and tilt mechanism which we've been using for the MIDI talents, for example. And let me just go and hit play on here so you can actually see it work. And I think it's really, really cool. Let me just turn that down a second. So if you have a look, so if we leave it like that, so when you go and punch for a cloud, for example, or maybe you get hit by some unexpected rain, you can have this front cover up. It doesn't need to be super transparent. It just needs to be enough to keep the blooming water out. So once you break through that barrier, is that you can then bring it back down again. How cool is that? How cool is that? And that's using a third servo up underneath the platform for the HD camera. So thumbs up for Andy. I think that is super cool. So look out for us publishing, and when Andy gets around to it, I hasten to add, we'll get that published onto Thingiverse, and I'm sure it will make here a mention in the RC Coffee Chat in the very, very near, near future. And I've just seen Sir Bruce's comment up there. I don't have the foggiest what you're talking about. Yeah, absolutely. Right, next topic, the Lidl gliders are back. Now, if you've not seen these before, they are super cool and also super cheap. Now, this is only really so I'm talking about the UK and potentially Europe. I don't really know about Europe, but I know here in the United Kingdom, that the Lidl gliders are back. Now, these little chuck gliders are £8, so extremely affordable, and there's almost a cult following now for the chuck gliders. And fingers crossed, Andy's back from Berlin, and is going to be able to go and grab me a pair from Lidl's just up here in Bristolia, so that I can have a muck around as well. So yeah, very cheap, simple chuck gliders, but there are so many different variations which, as a community, you would kind of expect. I know Andy's got one where both the wings move on a main spar. It's absolutely bonkers. I've never seen a model roll, loop like that before. It is absolutely schizo, to say the least. You've got people doing little nano talons styled models with looked like forward swept wings, FPV camera, and a single fin on the top. They look pretty cool. To be frankly honest, I am rather kind of tempted by this one, because I do think it's pretty cool, to say the least. I don't know, but one thing to note, if you are in the United Kingdom and you have a Lidl near you, they come into stock tomorrow for £8 each, which could be some fun. And I'm sure some of you have seen my old chuck glider conversions. The one which I originally converted a year or so more ago was bloody good fun. Right, let's move on. Right, indeed. Right, so let's get on to today's topic, okay? And what I would like to do here is to do two things. Number one, to make a big point, and I'd also like to pass on maybe a life skill to you as well. So this isn't necessarily all RC related nor HobbyKing related. I'd like to teach you about a criticism sandwich. Okay, now that sounds really posh and maybe it's a marketing wank term, but no, it actually works in real life as well. So what we are going to be doing is just like a sandwich. We're going to be talking about some good stuff. We're going to put our negative piece in the middle. Okay, there's all our criticism in the middle. And then we're going to polish it off with a slice of bread of some good stuff at the bottom. Okay, so I would like for you to take special attention to how I do this one, and just keep in the back of your mind, you can use this in real life. Perhaps maybe trying to warrant a new model with your missus. Okay, anyway, there's many different applications for this. So this is what we're going to be doing. Okay, now I'm sure many of you will appreciate that we have had a bit of a run on some not very good models from HobbyKing. Okay, and I think it's all come to a head all very quickly, and it must be very frustrating for HobbyKing, to say the least. I can tell you it has been very frustrating here as a model owner, so goodness knows what they think on the other side of the table. So what I would like to do is start off by making a point, is that HobbyKing is not full of loads of shite models. Instead, there are a whole collection. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to run through a couple of models, maybe a page or two on the HobbyKing site, just to make a point here. So these are models which I own, have owned, or have flown, or have seen fly. Okay, there's very little in the last category. Okay, so the Primo Jet, I've actually got one of those there. Really looking forward to putting that one together. And yes, I know it's made of foam board, so if it goes into foam snow, I won't cry. Mini Skywalker, absolute corking model. You need a Mini Skywalker in your life. That's all I'm going to say. The Z84, I've bought several from HobbyKing. Hummer 3D, fantastic model. Probably the best 3D model which you can buy for very, very little money. What are we talking? $35. Remember, and keep that on the back of your mind, because they are very, very good and also very inexpensive too. Scrolling down, the Texumo. Now, I've not played with the new Texumos, but I do. You can actually see one just above my head, just there. And if you look really closely, just there, there's two Texumos. I have been through an awful lot of Texumos. Very, very good wings. S-Back, Dave's got one of those. They fly great. Radjet, I have had I've had at least 4. I am looking to get a 5th. I'm just holding my ground at HobbyKing. We'll put them on sale again for 28 quid with a motor. You know how it is. I haven't seen one of those flies. Oh, the Phoenix 2000, corking model, to say the least. I've got it here in the background, but I must admit I don't really fly it very often. We will talk about the Yak 55 in a few moments' time. Bonsai 2s we will also talk about in a few moments' time as well. The Kinetic, we will talk about that one in a moment too. There's the Phoenix, so there's the 1600. Bixler, I've flown one of those. You got Bixler 1, you got Bixler 2, and you got Bixler 3. Apparently, the Bixler 2 is the best one. The Bixler 3 is not that great. That's what I hear. I've never flown a Bixler 3, but the word on the street is the 3 is not as good as the 2. But any of them are all great trainer models. The Walrus, I've flown one of those. Surprisingly, aerobatic. Genuinely impressed by what looks like a big soft model. Very peculiar. Oh, I've not flown one of those, but I've seen one of those flies, which is the gyrocopter. Very peculiar, to say the least. There's the Phoenix 2000. The Phantom FX61. There was a bit of an irony about that one, is that I couldn't, at the time when I bought mine, I couldn't buy it from HobbyKing because they wouldn't let you ship it from their warehouse, which was very peculiar. So I actually ended up buying mine from from Banggood. In the end on that one. I presume that's been in change now. Scrolling down, there are ME163, flown one of those. Raven, I've got one of those. Trod on that one the other week. The Vampire, I've owned one of those as well. Ooh, that was not very good. The EF Extra, as many of you know, I've got one of those, and they are bonkers. You should only ever go for the red version. Excalibur, and Tundra, I've owned one of those as well. By the way, the Tundra really wasn't for me, to be honest. It was just frankly too slow. I just got bored of it. It was too slow. And the Bushmilk, not flown one myself, but Andy's got one. And it did earn itself a new nickname, not deservedly, because only one of them caught fire. And we all just thought it was amusing, so that's what we called it. So that's our sense of humour, you know? That's just the way it is. Anyway, that was my point. I just wanted to make a point here, is that there's a couple of other pages, and there's a shed ton of models on the HobbyKing, and not all of them are crap. Okay, that was the point which I'm trying to make here. So that's layer number 1. That is our piece of bread at the top. Right, let's move on to the middle part of the sandwich, which is, unfortunately, we have had a bit of an issue with a couple of models, 4 in a row, which doesn't help stuff. And one of them's been brewing for a while. So the first one is the Wargo Yak 55, which, frankly, I was really disappointed about. What you can just about work out on this model when it clicks in is for the length of the fuselage compared to the nose. And I know that with 3D models, you generally like them quite tail heavy, but there's tail heavy and then there's obscenely tail heavy to the point that is completely uncontrollable for a novice stroke intermediate pilot, which is what I class myself as, by the way. So any model which you need to slap, and I'm not talking about a little piece of lead, I'm talking, oh, it's over there somewhere, you've seen it before, a great big slab of lead on the front and sticking a great big 1500 4S battery pack on the front is not good. It's not good. And it could perhaps, in my humble opinion, maybe designed a little bit better so the nose was slightly longer, so hitting CG was an awful lot easier with a wider variety of batteries. So when you saw that one catch fire a week or two ago, you caught my reactions, or would have seen my reactions, a rule from the flight line, because instead of the guys grabbing the fire extinguisher, they do have their cameras and run down because there's this big pansy in yellow going fire, 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 running across the flight line because it had been and caught fire. And to be honest, it was no biggie. I'd had enough of that model. Now I do have some good news as far as the yak goes. Is that I have been and cut this great big bloody chunk out the middle of where it got set fire to. And I'm going to I've got an old wing here, which I'm just going to cut out and wedge in. And we're actually going to use it as a trainer for the daughter because, ironically, it's actually quite a big model. So as such, it's going to be okay as a trainer model. And if it gets stuffed in the ground, well, to be honest, we're all going to laugh, take some photos and stick it in the Facebook group. So there is a good end to the Yak 55. It's just not what I expected. And by the way, those of you which are interested in learning to fly 3D, the Hummer 3D, which I made a special note on a few moments ago, is half the cost and twice the model of that one, in my humble opinion. Moving on, the Bonsai is of special note. Now, I'd like to just set the tone here, which is that the Bonsai, right, you know how many models I own, and I've had, okay? And Matt has a house policy of having no wall hangers. I do not put models on the wall because they fucking look pretty. This is not me. I go out and I fly models and smash them around the sky. If they go into a million pieces, first thing I do is grab the phone and take a photo and post it for you because I'm laughing with you because that all happens. I'm not a wall hanger guy. I don't buy models because they have some historical significance. That is not me at all. I'm not that kind of pilot. But I do fully appreciate that there are many pilots out there which get that side of the hobby, and that's happy days for them. I appreciate that, but that's not me. I'm more of let's just go have some fun, okay? And that's where I'm firmly planted. However, there is one exception, and I'll get it down, and this is the only model which is hung on the wall on purpose, and it is my original Bonsai. So there's my Bonsai, there's my original one. I have had that one 2 years, possibly, something like that, or at least 18 months. At least, where can I sit her? Sit her there. She sat there. I've had that model for like 18 months or so. And I got the nickname of another battery Matt because what I would do is I'd have a hoodie and I ram this hoodie full of 1000 mAh 2S battery packs, and I would stand on that flight line until either the model fell out of the sky because the battery was flat or I'd broken it, okay? So imagine how much flight time. So get it in, land, chain will go and fetch it, just be honest there, go and fetch it, another battery in. And the Bonsai, the original Bonsai, is an airframe which I frankly feel should never have been tampered with. And the Bonsai 2 is a progression on from the Bonsai 1, apparently, because it's a higher number, it's got to be better, it's newer, is it not? And in my humble opinion, is that it has not been made a better model by the rejigging of the servos and the incorporation of not very good parts. Let's leave it as that. Matt did set fire to them, and Matt got very passionate about that because I feel that even if you look on the HobbyKing description today, there we go, we'll click on there, wait for it to kick across, we'll scroll down, and in there, own documentation, 800 mAh 2S. If you put an 800 mAh 2S battery pack on the nose of that model, that version 2, is that it will be grossly tail heavy and completely unflyable. So that is my issue with the Bonsai 2. It should have, when you have a new version, it should be a step forwards in the life of that model. It should be a progression. What happened with the Bonsai 2 is a step backwards, and it's a step backwards for a collection of reasons, but the real reason why it's gone backwards is because I guess the price point needs to be higher to be more interesting to HobbyKing, because the kits are no longer available, and crucially to be able to put FPV in the title of the model, because everybody wants to fly FPV now. So that's my bugbear with the Bonsai. The other one is, what was the other one? The Kinetic. It's just a terrible model. Now, I am looking at the newer version, okay? There is a long list of issues with that one. Many of the issues orientate around the poor quality glue which is used with this model. Again, there's a new version which has been released, which has got some new stickers. Really good stickers, by the way. I had to use a Dremel to get those stickers off, which is completely unheard of when it comes to stickers on RC models. And if you have no idea what I'm looking at, look about the upgraded to Kinetic on the YouTube channel. Yeah, absolute nightmare. It's a dirty tip stool, and all of the known issues like the fatally flawed fuselage section, which will snap in half if you look at it even wrongly, is that those issues have not been fixed in the new version. So you can imagine now, what we had, the Yak 55, the new Bonsai, and a Kinetic, which is being touted, pushed right now. And there's me going and saying, they're not actually that good. So you can kind of appreciate some friction building here, to say the least. And then the Sidewinder. I stand by my words, that model should be recalled. I will not personally stand on a flight line where there is a Sidewinder being flown. My Sidewinder, which I owned, only, and I mean only, lasted 9 or 10 flights. By the 9th flight, it was showing severe signs of wear. And then by the 10th flight, which I used a 50-45 propeller on it, it just oscillated and flapped. It's not a safe model for all the reasons which I've discussed before. So, there you go. That was the middle section of a criticism sandwich. And we had some nice stuff at the beginning, which is true. This is the key. The point is that I'm not saying all models from HobbyKing are rubbish. I am being very, very specific in what I'm saying here. I'm saying that 4 models right now from HobbyKing could definitely do with some rethinking, to say the least. And let's leave it on that note there. And then, of course, the final layer of the criticism sandwich, which we're going to be discussing, is the last layer, which is that not all products from HobbyKing are crap. What about batteries? Okay, you could... Zippy batteries, the nanotechs, really, really good. The selection of motors and servos, and a collection of other things like covering film and so on and so forth. Okay, the list here is endless. Now, one thing to keep in the back of your mind is that my issue is with a specific model. So we're looking at the Kinetic now, which is a terrible model. And I don't. If you were a kid and you've got 50 quid pocket money, that is like the worst model which you could spend your 50 quid on, and that's my horrible feeling in the back of my head. Some poor lad or girl is going to spend 50 quid on a Kinetic, and it's going to last them 3 flights. It is not a good place to be in, okay? And you will note all the way along here, I have not said derogatory things about HobbyKing as we've gone through. I am specific in reviewing specific models. My issues here are not with a company itself, although, let's face it, guys, you've got to sleep at night knowing that there's a model, aka Sidewinder, which wants to self-destruct itself, and other reasons which you're fully aware of. But my point being is my reviews here are model specific, and it doesn't matter if this model was by HobbyKing or another company. Models which fall apart because the glue is crap in it are worthy of getting an absolute slating, and that's one other thing here as well. And I think it's now becoming blatantly apparent, and I know Sir Bruce is on here at the moment, which is that he's run into issues like this as well. I buy these models out of my own money. I am 100% in your position from your side of the table as a consumer, okay? And I would want to know this. There's been reviews lately which have been very questionable about a collection of these models, and I think the disparity is starting to show. I think it's starting to show very quickly as well. Don't get me wrong, there are positives to be said about these models. The Kinetic, that Kinetic on 4S is absolutely brilliant fun if you are a very experienced pilot. I am not a very experienced pilot. I still class myself very from novice to intermediate. There is a whole new layer of pilot on a beyond where I am right now. So there we go. So we've spoken about the banning from HobbyKing-ish, because what happened during this is that they blocked. I went to sign in one morning and my account was blocked. You may have noticed the drama in the Facebook group a couple of days ago. And then also, I could obviously, there was a big question mark around the Sidewinder wing when I was getting a refund back. So straight in for a dispute. Let's not muck around. Let's get it in and get it into the dispute resolution process with HobbyKing. And that's why I was saying at the beginning, happy days. It seems to have all cleared itself up this morning. So hunky-dory. So as of right now, like we said, we were going live, my account is not currently banned from HobbyKing. Although, let's face it, we can all appreciate why HobbyKing may not be an avid fan of Matt and rag the nuts off at the moment. Right, let's move to a more cheerier topic. Let's do shout out corner. Now, this is where Matt kind of, there we go. I didn't put the camera on last week. I remembered this morning to stick it in. So apologies, I have not paid any attention to your chat this morning. That was that big topic. I wanted to get it in and I wanted to get covered, and I've just been on a little run on that one. So this is where I get a chance to say good morning to you. So let me scroll back up to the top. There's been a lot of chatting here this morning. Me and Zenith were chatting quite a bit this morning. Oh yeah, Zenith, do try the D2826 2200 kV motor in the back of a Wing Z84. Great for 3S, brilliant on 4S. Good morning, Phil. Good morning, Henry, as well. Scrolling down. Good morning, Zippler2. Julian, I'm guessing you've already gone to work by now, so I hope you've had a good day at work. Never apologise for going to work, so remember, work pays for phone. Moving on, XJet. Good morning, Sir Bruce, as well. Good morning, Lauren, as well. Good morning, Brad, too. Good morning, Jeff. Anad and NL. Phil, good morning, too. Henry, good morning. Scrolling down. There's been a lot of chit-chat in here in the morning. I'm trying to look for names. Elijah, good morning too. Thanks, Red. Good morning, thanks, Red. In there. Who else have I missed in? Oh, there's Alistair, good morning. Joe, good morning too. Simplicity. Most of your planes can't last much longer anyway. Yeah, I agree with you. Their days are numbered. Let's be brutally honest here as well. Jazzy, good morning too. Vince, good morning. Oh, you're down in Vince, you're down in Western Super Mud. You're not kidding either. It's really muddy down there too. All about the Karma. Radjet, yes, very good model. Bit noisy, if we're honest, but still quite noisy. And like I said, I think I've had about 4 of them here. At least, so I'm just waiting for one to go on sale again, and I'll get myself a new one. So yes, good morning. That was Shout Out Corner. Let's go back to let's get our screen off. Right, let's move to the next topic. Oh, a quick update around the WRA Spec Wing. Many of you will know that we had the Spec Wing Maiden, which went live last night actually on YouTube. There's one little quick update for that one, which is something which I'm going to be doing for mine. Is that I'm a little bit the wing does waggle a bit when you de-accelerate. Now, that could be because I have the brake set on the ESC, but that's the thing is that I'm actually going to leave the brake not set on the ESC. This is one of those rare instances where is that if it's a model which is normally supposed to be at full knacker, if I've lifted off the throttle, then I'm either I've landed, or I need to de-accelerate very, very quickly to do something to get out of the way. So I will be leaving the brake off on that model. That's one of the very, very rare instances where that happens for one of the models here. But what I have noticed is that when it de-accelerates, it does try and sit itself down in the sky, especially if you just come out of a turn as well. So I will be looking at putting some form of fins on there like you've seen on a right wing model before, and I will be trying to get some fins on there just to try and help it stop waggling, and the other thing is as well to help it hold its attitude in the sky. And that's always been a big noticeable thing for me, going from flying one model to another, is that the wings which hold their attitude in the sky are just much more enjoyable to fly. So I will be pursuing that, so look out for that over the next week or two with some modifications for that. Oh, next topic. I'm sure all of you have seen the bird or turd episode, and to be honest, I've got no update on it at all. Frankly, no update. It's still sat over there on the workbench. I've just been literally, number one, really busy with work, and number two, yesterday, on the bottom of my car, I had the bottom of the transmission out, including the Megatronics layer as well, to go and change some rubbers in there. And we started at 8 o'clock, and I think I finished with Pete, the mechanic, at 20 to 1 yesterday. So brilliant experience, completely not RC related, but I've just had other things going on. So no update on that one yet, but I will give you an update once I have one. However, is that what I do need to share with you is, if I get this back on the screen, is your vote. Your vote is, apparently, it's a bird. Shock, horror, revelation. Who would have guessed? You as a community voted that it's a bit of a bird. Frankly, I had that completely down as a turd, but you voted as a community, it is a bird and not a turd. And I was in there laughing my boobies head off this morning. Right, one last topic before we wrap up this morning's RC Coffee Chat. I want to give you a heads up. There are two new models, which you will see here shortly. Their life expectancy is questionable, is the best word, which I'm looking for here. The first one is a P39 Cobra. I have had this model for at least a year. I bought it with a load of other models, and it has been sat on top of the wardrobe. I've been and brought it down. I will get it built up, and I will get it at least one flight out of it and get a little bit of video footage. And it looks like it's going to be bonkers, but it does have landing gear, so to be honest, it's absolutely no good for me, because flying it once every other weekend, if we're lucky, is not the kind of model which I'm interested in. I want a kind of model which you can fly pretty much in any weather. For poops and giggles. So I will get this one finished because it just needs a few parts on it, and we'll get it out the door and take it up, get it trimmed in and get it flying, and then it needs to find a new home pretty quickly. The other is a FMS Fock Wolf, which is not actually this model. Well, it is this model. This is a newer version which they've got out of it. I've got a Fock Wolf here as well. Really not my cup of tea. Again, it's got landing gear on it. It's landing gear for flying in a field full of poo. It's not really applicable to me. Yeah, we'll get that one built up. It only needs 2 bolts in it and a receiver. And we'll get that one out, get it flown, get a little bit of video footage for you bulls. Yeah, then it needs to find a new home or become a lawn dart. It's harsh. But this type of model is just, both of these types of model are not really my cups of tea. I appreciate why people like a Fock Wolf 190, for example. It has some special historical significance or of interest to them. But for me, really, really not my cup of tea at all. Right, that's it. That's it for today's RC Coffee Chat. Let me just go back and recap what we've been and covered here this morning. In fact, why don't we go back to full screen? There we go. The moisture content inspection device. Really looking forward to Andy getting some 3D printable files out for that one. I'll print one up here and get one together, and we'll try it out, take it up and see how well it works. I think it's going to work really, really well. So that little face guard to keep the moisture at least off the FPV camera, I think is an absolutely fantastic idea. So definitely a thumbs up for Andy for working on that one over the last couple of days or so. The Lidl gliders are back. If you've never had one of these chuck gliders, and maybe you've just got kids and you are in the UK, do take the opportunity to nip along to a local Lidl store. So whether you tell your wife you're going shopping for it or not, or you'll go along with them, it's completely up to you. But £8 for a little chuck glider, and the internet is full of a squillion of different mods, and I'll just put that one up there on the screen here, so you can have a look on there. So yeah, very, very cool to say the least. The other topic which we covered here this morning, I mean, it really was today's main topic, which is that right now you could class the title as being clickbait, but that obviously might change over a period of time. At the time when the RC Coffee Chat was being published, to my knowledge, the account was still banned. and we spoke about a criticism sandwich, and it is a life skill which you can learn and actually implement in real life, which is that if you've got a criticism or something which is a negative which you'd like to pass to another person, you can wrap it up in a sandwich. You can talk about good stuff, you can then talk about the criticism, and then you can talk about some good stuff at the end, like a sandwich. Hey. And then we spoke about HobbyKing models. We spoke about those 4 models specifically, and then we also spoke about some other good points to HobbyKing, which is that they do have a wide variety of other products which rarely get mentioned, but they are worthy as models, if that makes sense. Okay. Then we spoke about the spec wing. We'll be getting some fins on that one. Not a big fan of waggle. We need to knock that one on the head. Think it's going to be some very simple modifications to overcome that. But I don't want that, by the way, I don't want my comment here about a little bit of waggle to put you off a model, because remember, every other answer, or every other reply is that it's going to be, what was it, 30 quid. 30 quid for an EPP wing, which is fantastic value for money. And if I can look at you in the face and say it's got this one annoyance, which has got a bit of waggle, I think that's pretty good for 30 quid, don't you? Let's be fairer on that one. I think you would agree. And it does fly really well. And I was surprised by how quiet it flew as well. Genuinely surprised on how quiet it was. And actually, that's actually a big thing for me, because if you can imagine if we got 4, 5, maybe even 6 of these flying around in the sky at the same time, all chasing each other, having quieter models is a good thing, because we've got neighbours which we could piss off. So quieter models are definitely happy days, to say the least. Right. Yes. Apologies, I've not really been focusing on your chat this week. It's been one of those weeks where I've had an awful lot to cover in a very short space of time. So apologies if I have been and missed your questions or comments. If you have a question about anything which we have covered here in today's RC Coffee Chat, you can do one of 2 things. You can ask as a comment underneath this video once it's been finished processing by YouTube, or you can nip across to the Faceballs group, and there's a linky to that in the video description below. Just click on Show More. And we also spoke about bird or turd. Shock horror on that one. If any of you saw the Easter egg, I can't believe there is only one person who saw that in the live version. One person. I've so got to do that again. We're doing that again in the next live event, and we'll treat it as an Easter egg. So we'll probably have like "Where's Richard" or something like that. Do look out for that in the next live event. And no, you can't see one in this one because I didn't place one in it. I wasn't that sharp this morning, to be brutally honest. And the last topic which we spoke about was the P39 Cobra and the Focke Wolf. There are 2 models sat here which are behind me at the moment. You can just about work out the tail just there, and there's a P39 there somewhere. It is there. They will get flown, so I at least get one fly out of them. And then either they will find new homes very, very quickly, or they will get turned into lawn darts very, very quickly. I'm not fussy either way. For me, I get... Anyway, let's not even go there. So that is what we've been covered this week in this week's RC Coffee Chat. If this is your first time here joining me for an RC Coffee Chat, normally they're not about those kind of experiences with HobbyKing. We've just, like I said, we've had a bit of a run on 4 not very good models. And remember, all those models were bought out of my own money for my own abuses, and that does seem to make a bit of a difference. Let's be brutally honest here. Some of my reviews have been quite different to the other ones which I've personally been and watched on YouTube. So that does mean to me that I feel that I am on the right tracks. That's all I'm going to say on that matter. Anyway, if it is your first time here, and you've enjoyed this week's RC Coffee Chat, do me a favour, hit the thumbs up. If you have not enjoyed this week's RC Coffee Chat, let me know why and how underneath in the comments section underneath this video. I would love to hear from you. One point which I'd like to make about the Rack the Nuts Off is that I do my best to reply to every single comment which is left underneath the videos, even when they're not that tasteful as well. We've had some very peculiar comments lately. I'm sure I will get a few screen grabs and post them in the Facebook group over the next couple of days, because there are some right nutters out there, which I'm not saying that you are a nutter. You might class me as a nutter, but let's not even go there. Anyway, it really is time for me to go. Thank you very much for taking the time to join me and everybody else here for today's RC Coffee Chat. I will see you the same time next Wednesday with a whole new set of topics, and we may have snow or not snow when it comes to the P39 and that fork wolf. Anyway, for myself, Matt, have a great day. Cheerios.